Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Cooking with Tovia. I'm going to show you guys how to make a moist and delicious cream cheese pound cake. You'll find all the ingredients in the description box of this video. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and don't forget to follow me on social media. In my bowl of my stand mixer, I have here my sugar. It's granulated sugar. And off to the side here, I have 3/4 of a cup of room temperature unsalted butter and 3/4 of a cup of room temperature margarine. If you don't want to use margarine, you can use 3/4 of a cup of shortening. You can use 3/4 of a cup of coconut oil, but we need to have two different types of fats that isn't completely milk solid, because your cake will benefit from it. So I'm going to add that to my sugar. I have my stand mixer fitted with the paddle attachment. If you don't have a stand mixer, you can use a hand mixer. So I'm going to begin to cream together the sugars and the butter. And before all of it's completely incorporated, I'm going to add some room temperature cream cheese. And this is 8 ounces of cream cheese. I use 3 cups of granulated sugar. So I'm going to cream all that together. And start off on low. Then I'm going to take it up to medium. I'm going to let this go for about 3 minutes. I'm going to stop the mixer and give it a scrape. So it's been about 1.5 minutes, and just going to give the machine a scrape here. I already have my flour here on the side, and it's 3 cups of cake flour. If you don't have cake flour, don't try to make it with the cornstarch. Just use regular all-purpose flour, because cake flour is not flour and cornstarch. And you're going to end up with dry, crumbly cornbread texture. So, what we're going to do is just let this mix for another minute or two. And while that's mixing, I'm going to beat my eggs. We're going to beat our eggs until they're well beaten. So what I'm going to do is slowly stream in my eggs, a little bit at a time. And after adding a little bit of the egg, I'm going to let it beat for about 30 seconds. Just add the egg in little increments. So don't rush this part. It will take about 5 to 10 minutes to add all these eggs. Maybe even longer. I'll add just a little drizzle of the eggs in there. Add a little bit of egg, let it go for 30 seconds, add a little bit more, 30 seconds, and just keep repeating that process until you have all the eggs added into your cake batter here. So it took me about 6 minutes to get all those eggs added in there. So I'm going to stop the machine and give it a scrape down. And my cake flour, I added some salt to it as well. So we're going to alternatively add our cake flour with our heavy cream. But before I begin that step, I'm going to add a tablespoon. I'm using Mexican vanilla. This is called vanilla ticul. Add a tablespoon to my heavy cream. So I'm going to add half of my cake flour first. Literally just shake all half of it in there. I'm going to tilt my head down of my mixer. And I'm just going to kind of switch it off and on to kind of pulse it a bit so flour won't go flying all over the place. As soon as that dissolves, we're gonna add all of our buttermilk. I'll just do it on low. Just kind of whip that a bit. So I'm going to add all that cream. So I'm going to add all of that heavy cream and vanilla. Just mix until all that has dissolved. Look how smooth this batter is. See? We took all that time to beat the eggs in, so nothing's separated here. So I'm going to shake in the rest of my cake flour. I'm going to just mix that cake flour in so it dissolves. Oh man, I need a bigger mixer. So I do a lot of cake baking, but I'm going to stop the machine and just give this a scrape. Scrape the bottom center of the bowl really good to make sure there's no bits of dry flour down there, because if it is, your cake is not going to bake right. You're going to have spots of flour throughout the cake, and when your cake goes to bake, it'll either rise or drop, or it'll be too doughy in the centers. Anything could go wrong when the flour is not combined properly. So I gave it a good scrape. I'm going to let that mix for a minute while I get my hands a rinse. So I have turned it off. I have a 2-pan here that I just sprayed with some Pam with the flour. This is baking Pam. If you're against using Pam, you can use butter and just flour the pan down really good. So what I'm going to do is just scrape everything down here, the paddle, the bowl. So I'm going to give everything a good scrape down. Trying not to get my hands messy here, but the bowl's only so big. So I'm just scraping really good. Just bringing everything from the bottom of the bowl to the top. I'm going to pour it into my 2-pan here. My oven is preheated at 325 Fahrenheit, and it will take about 1.5 to 2 hours to bake total. So I'm going to let this go for 1.5 hours exactly before I even open my oven to check it. I'm going to place this on top of a sheet pan probably, or well, I'm going to place a sheet pan under it. I'm going to set the pan directly on the rack and place the sheet pan under it. The only leavening in here are the eggs and the air that we incorporated in this. There's no baking soda, no baking powder, none of that. So into the oven it goes. Don't tap it, don't shake it, just smooth out the cake here. And I just take my little mini spatula here and I just kind of smooth it over the top just to help get the batter even in the pan. If it's too much on one side, just smooth it around. Okay. So I'm going to place this to one side, and this is going to go into the oven for 1 hour and 25-ish minutes before I check it. 325 Fahrenheit. So my cake took exactly 1.5 hours to bake. I want to stress to you guys, I don't have a 10-inch bump pan. So mine's kind of went over the pan, and that's okay. So what I'm going to do is just trim it. And believe me, the cake is going to be fine. Just trim off all this part. It needs to be even with the pan. And of course, you can just set all that aside because it's still edible. So here we go. So I have a cake plate here, or cake board. I'm gonna flip it out. I hope it comes out of the pan. I let the cake completely cool in the pan. And see, you have a beautiful cake. So that outer crust here, like I said, it just came from my cake pan being too small. But my cake is beautiful. It's moist, as you see here. Guys, it's beautiful. I figured I'm not going to make a glaze because this cake is going to be served with ice cream. So okay guys, so I'm going to cut into the cake. Here we go. I'm excited. It smells amazing. Beautiful. Just kind of just the lighting here so you can really see it. A beautiful crumb here. So here's the cake. It's beautiful, it's moist. Oh my God. I can't wait to just taste this. So please support me by subscribing to my channel, hitting the thumbs up. So here it goes. Look at that. See how moist that is? Look at that. Hope you're actually seeing that pretty clear. Moist. Oh my goodness. All I can tell you, this beautiful crusty part on the bottom of the cake. It's almost like eating a cookie. It just melts in your mouth. The rest of the outside of it, it's almost like eating frosting. It's so soft, buttery, moist. It just melts right in your mouth, folks. Especially this edge right here. It tastes just like frosting. If you enjoyed today's video, please hit that thumbs up. Please share this video. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you'd like to see in the future. If you made any of my recipes and you follow me on social media, I'd like to see pictures. Please tag me. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram and Facebook. Thank you so much for watching my videos and interacting with me, supporting. I really appreciate all of you. Remember to live and be well, and remember to love each other.